Hey, good morning all. This is Ned. And this is Angel. We are My Philippine Dreams. I'm running solo today because Michelle is in Dapitan. She's going down to her family's place down in southwest Mindanao. It's her father's anniversary, second anniversary of her father's passing away. So that's where she is. I thought quickly this morning before I head out that I would share a quick story with you, something that happened the other day. Now, we always hear about Kano tax. We always hear about white skin tax. We always hear about long nose tax. And basically that refers to foreigners being exploited by local merchants in order to make more money for themselves. We see ourselves sometimes as the victim in this, as the target of these horrific hustles and scams. Does it happen? Of course it happens. It usually happens more at like the public markets where there's no posted prices, or when you're going to get services, or when you're going for a trike ride or a taxi cab. I always make sure that the taxis are using their meters. But this story is, and then there's stereotypes, and there's always, stereotypes are there for a reason, and stereotypes do exist, but there are exceptions to every rule. And I actually encountered one of these the other day, Michelle's shoes. I should probably get Michelle's shoes out of the shot. Basically, the other day, I went to get some flowers from Michelle. And I got her a half-dozen roses. There's actually a flower dealer right near the public market here in Dumaguete where I got these, and they're very nice. I like them. They're very nice. So I get there, and it's a little hole-in-the-wall place. It's all decrepitated and dilapidated and falling apart, roofs leaking, all that stuff. It's been raining a lot. And the proprietor's this wizened old crone. Probably shouldn't refer to her as a crone. That's not very politically correct. Polished mahogany skin, the white hair. She even has, clouds of cataracts in one eye. And as soon as I got there, I started using my horrible broken Bisaya. And for some reason, the locals find that incredibly amusing. So she's laughing at me. She's hitting me with rapid fire Bisaya, going way too fast than I can understand. I'm picking out a word there. I'm picking out a word here. So it was really interesting. She was really nice. She was really funny. And so I asked her, I'm like, how much is a half dozen roses? And she looked at the roses and she said, 300 pesos. So I was like, I was thinking about, okay, nothing's posted, so I should probably try haggling, but I'm not much of a haggler, so I was like, okay, that's cool. So they start bundling that up. So as I'm waiting for my bouquet to be wrapped, these two young Filipinos come in. They look to be college age, maybe college graduates. They're well dressed. And they also want, because it's graduation over this past 2 weeks here in Dumaguete, because there's so many schools, they have to stagger all the graduations. So they're getting flowers, and they want flowers for a graduation ceremony. And they were talking in Bisaya, and I was, picking it up because they weren't talking too fast. And then they asked how much it was, pila, and she said 350. And I thought to myself, maybe I misunderstood her. I thought she had said it was 300. Why is she saying 350? Her assistant starts, putting together their bouquet. So both our bouquets basically get done at the same time. The two young Filipinos pay for theirs first, and they pay 350 pesos. And then it comes time for me. I forgot what she had said. I don't know if she said 300 or 350. So I give her a 500, and she gives me 200 pesos back, and she goes like this, because the other Filipinos were still there. So that's a reverse case of the discrimination sometimes you encounter here when you're being targeted for the Kano price. I don't know if Dumaguete is in its own little strange bubble, but the whole time I've been here, I've never been targeted for, Kano tax, skin tax, long nose tax, call it what you may. But I've always gotten preferential treatment. Going to the bank, going to the hospital, getting bumped in the line. And it's really uncomfortable in situations like that where people are waiting ahead of you, Filipinos are waiting ahead of you, and they're telling you to go ahead. That's not cool. So a lot of times I just, politely demur and just wait, in line with everybody else. Another bright, shining example of preferential treatment that I've got here since I've been here was when I first bought my motorcycle. My first motorcycle here was a Yamaha YBR 125. I had the deed of sale, and that's basically all the paperwork you have until you get the OR and the CR, which is usually months later. Shortly after buying the bike, I was riding somewhere around Dumaguete. There was a checkpoint. They stopped me at the checkpoint, and they said, "Sir, do you have a helmet?" And I said, "No, I don't have a helmet." They said, "Sir, you don't have sneakers on?" And because I was wearing my flip-flops, and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't have my shoes on." You're supposed to have those. Those are the law. And then they say, "Sir, do you have your OR and CR?" And I'm like, "No, I just bought this. I don't have the OR and CR yet." And then finally he was like, "Sir, do you have the deed of sale?" And I'm like, "No, I don't have the deed of sale. The only thing I had on me at the time was my U.S. driver's license. So he checked that out. He just kind of shook his head. And he said, sir, you have to be wearing your helmet, you have to be wearing shoes, and you have to have at least your deed of sale, if not your ORCR. Go ahead, this is a warning. So that was a case where they could have impounded my bike. I didn't have, registration, deed of sale, proof of ownership, anything like that. And they just cut me loose. Now, years later, I did go through a checkpoint. I had forgotten my Philippines driver's license back at the house. This was about 200 meters down the road from where we live. And they impounded my bike. I actually tried to bribe him. I'm like, okay, these guys are all corrupt, right? So I'm going to be able to bribe him. So I said, how about if I just, and I guess he said the fine is like 40 pesos for not having your driver's license on you when you go to pick up your bike at City Hall. So I had 500 pesos, and I'm like, how about if I just pay it right here? Can I just pay the fine right here? And he looked at it, and he's like, I'm sorry, sir. You're going to have to, pick up your bike tomorrow at City Hall. So that's my flower story. Michelle is, right now, she's on her way. We went last night to try to get the ticket at the port, but they didn't have them, but she's on her way now. She's on a Super Cat heading out to Mindanao. Bon voyage to her, Ingyat, Amping. And hope you have a really good time with your family. That's my story about the flowers and the reverse condo tax, I guess you might call it. This is Ned over at My Philippine Dreams. We'll see you next time. Angel, quit busting into the shots. You look like Angel. No barking. Bad dog. Angel, no. So, Angel, she's not helping out with production value.